Hello and welcome to Watercolor Notebook. This is Pam and I'm looking around and my workspace is starting to turn pink, and based on the response to the post I put up yesterday with the Valentine card front, it looks like a lot of you are ready to turn the corner and start thinking about Valentine's Day too. So today we're working on a Valentine card front, and this is what we call a flat. And I just had this box of flats from the Paper Studio. They're small, just single cards, so that they don't fold like a regular card. It's called a flat, but you can use it, and they come with envelopes, and you can use these just to write a little note on the back and mail it out in the envelope like you would a card. It's just that it's not a folded card. So I like this because you can also paint on them and then turn them into folded cards just by gluing this as a card front. So we're going to be using these. You can get these on Amazon. It's the Paper Studio, and they're 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch flat cards and envelopes, and I'll leave the link in the comments so that you can find those on Amazon. So we'll use those, and we are going to be using a little heart-shaped cookie cutter, and I took a piece of red cardstock, and we're going to use this as our template. So I cut it to the same size as the card so that we can cut out a little heart shape on it and use this card as a template to paint the actual card fronts. So we have cardstock. It doesn't have to be red, it can be any color. Cardstock, heart-shaped cookie cutter, or you can freehand hearts if you like, if you don't have the cookie cutter. And I also have this little stamp, a little love stamp, and some ink that we'll be using for an embellishment, and this is also optional if you don't have the stamp. If you'd like to get it, this also came from Michael's, and I'll leave that link there for you as well. So now that we have our supplies and our inspiration, let's go ahead and get started. Since I'm going to be using a stamp on my cards, I'm going to offset the heart a little bit and just move it over a little bit so that I have enough room to put the stamp on my card when I'm finished. So let's just trace around the heart. I think I'm going to go around the inside so that the heart is a little bit smaller. I can always make my painting larger, but to start out we'll make a smaller heart in the center. And the next thing we want to do is, with an X-Acto, just cut the heart out. This doesn't have to be beautiful because we're not painting all the way to the edge, and you won't see the edge when we're finished. We're really just creating a border to paint inside of. Make sure you have a nice piece of cardboard, or maybe even a self-healing mat under this when you cut. It makes things a lot easier. Okay, and keep the heart because you might want to trace it onto something else later on once you get going. All right, and the next thing we want to do, and what's really convenient, and I've done this before, is once I get a template cut out like this, I might run it through my laminator, and then you'll have it for years to come. But for today, we're just going to use it like this. And then the next thing I do is I'm going to put my card that I'm going to paint on underneath the template, and just use a simple clip at the top and a little piece of tape at the bottom. And we're going to paint a loose floral right inside of this template to make the card. So I have been just kind of looking through magazines for examples of color and greenery and trying to decide what kind of flowers I want to paint. We've got roses here, but there are several different kinds of leaves and different colors that we can kind of copy from magazines, or even going out online and looking for photographs online. So I'm going to just keep this very loose and just using 1 or 2 brushes. I'm going to use a little number 6 round. Okay, I think this is Carbazole Violet, and Quin Magenta is the exact name of the paint. All right, so let's just do some loose flowers. We're gonna take our water bottle and just give a very light little spritz so that the paint will move just a little bit. I'm not using watercolor paper here. This is actually cardstock, so we're not going to be doing a lot of watercolor techniques. Really, we're just using the paint pretty much wet on dry. And let's just get a couple of little petals down here. We're going to leave lots of white space and just follow the shape of the template. Do another flower down here. Let's leave some white centers. And let's get another one here. Just very simple shapes. Okay, and so now we've got our pink in, and now let's go for some green. And I'm just going to go in and paint some very simple leaves in between these flower petals, and I'm actually going to go to a smaller brush to do that with, so I can get in between these petals here. Okay, so here I'm just using a number 2 long round to do some petals and leaves and stems. All right, so let's get a leaf shape in here. And these are just very loose. We're not getting fussy with this at all. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to lighten it up. A little bit of blue. And with that, just to give more of a blue-green color. Okay, let's get a couple of leaf shapes here. You want to vary the color and vary the size and shape. Leave lots of white space, so look first and then paint. All right, that's that, and I'm going to just do a couple to bring this. I'm thinking about this heart shape and not really painting right up to the edge. All right, now I'm going to add quite a bit of blue here. So we have a blue-green, and let's put in, I'm going to do some lost and found stems. And let's do some very loose greenery on this edge. Okay, always want to have a cluster of stems. And let's have another stem coming down this way. Don't worry about overlapping. When you do overlap though, try to vary the color so that you can see that there is more than one leaf here. All right, now let's bring some. I'm just going to create a little bit of a pattern here. It'll help give the eye a place to rest. A couple of small ones here. And all right, I'm liking the way this is coming out. Now I want to go back and just put some detail in the centers of these flowers. So I'm using the same color, just going a little darker with less water and putting in a few little dots around the center of the flowers. All right, let's get this one a little darker on the bottom here. And then what I'll do is I'll go back in, rinse my brush off, and with just some clear water, not too wet, just go in and soften the edges of the center here. Okay, it's going to give our flowers a little bit of dimension. And this is just a very simple card, so we're not getting very detailed on any of it. Okay, maybe define the edges of a couple of the leaves here. Keep it very simple. All right, and then I'm going to go back in and pick up a little bit of a darker pink color and drop it in right near the center. Don't cover up the white in the very center. That will give a little pop for you if you don't cover that up. Okay, and the next thing we want to do is do a little spatter. So on one side of the heart, let me show you what I'm doing here. Let me move this in a little bit so you can see. Is I'm loading up this brush as much as possible. It's a small brush, but I'm going to load it up with this pink. Hold it way far back on the end, and I'm going to, I kind of protect. This will keep the paint from spattering all over the place. So I just put up a little card and I'm going to tap end of this brush. Got to get a lot of paint on there, and that will spatter some pink around these petals. Just random spatter. And then I'm going to go and pick up some of the green and do the same thing on the other side. Try to do one side one color and the other side the darker color. This will help to define the heart shape and just add a little interest to your very simple painting here. Okay, I think that's enough. All right, and let's go ahead and take the clip off. Normally I would let this dry, but for the sake of time here, I'm just going to take the template off so you can see how this works. And there is your card. So I really like the way this one came out. Bright, clean, crisp colors work best. And now I'm going to take my ink pad and my stamp. And let's see. I like these clear gridded stamps so that you can really see where the stamp is going down. Alright, so let's get it. Let's put it right about there. And I hold for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And lift straight up. And there we have our first card. So I hope you'll try some of these on your own, come up with your own designs, your own colors, you know, different heart shapes, different sizes, templates, and have fun. Happy Valentine. So I've decided to put my card front on an actual craft card, and this is a card and envelope set by a company called Recollections, and you can buy these in packs of 25 sets for, you know, you can get these on sale for like $7 to $10, I think, at Michael's or on Amazon. And so what I've done is cut down my card front using a paper cutter, and I took like a quarter of an inch off of each side so that when you put it onto the card you'll have a little craft, you know, a little border around it instead of having it go from edge to edge like this. I think it looks better just to have a little border around it. So I cut my card down to size, and this is just very, very simple. Take something to protect my workspace and turn the card upside down. Just using a simple Elmer's glue glue stick, and I'm covering the entire back, paying special attention to the corners. You want to get plenty of glue on here, on the edges and corners especially. Okay, and very easy. I'm going to use my bone folder and just fold down the card really well. I'm going to look at the bottom edges and get the corners lined up first. If you get your corners first, then look at the sides and the top. Okay, push the corners down and then flip the card over and use the bone folder. Make sure the whole card front catches. And there you have it. Nice card to send out to a friend or loved one for Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.